Hi, my name is Nia and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be talking about the bully to lovers trope, which I absolutely hate. So, what is the bullies to lovers trope, and what are some things that are usually associated with it? The bullies to lovers trope is exactly what it sounds like. It's when the bully and the protagonist, more specifically, the bully of the protagonist and the protagonist, fall in love by the end of the book or the series or the story or whatever. I've been reading since I was in middle school, and this trope can be found in any genre that deals with romance. So, like, almost all of them basically. And I've seen it done by in a lot of different ways by a lot of different people, and like people of various levels of skill. Like I've seen it done by novice writers on Wattpad, and I've seen it done by professional, like, published authors who have released many books. And over the course of my life, I've read upwards of 1,000 books. Whenever I've come across this trope, I've always hated it. I don't think I've ever seen it done well. And my scale of, like, wellness goes masterful, amazing, great, okay, I'll allow it, meh, bad, awful, and trash. And I've always categorized the execution of this trope somewhere between meh and trash. So some of the things that I've seen consistently with this trope would be, let's see. Oh, it's always a male-female pairing. There's always uneven power dynamics or like social hierarchies or both. Um, there may be, like, not always, but sometimes, a lot of times, there's like sexist or misogynist like undertones. The setting is some sort of contained area, like a high school or like a small private college or a workplace, a small town or community that's like, yeah, like things like that. And for the male character, he is always the bully. He's always the dominant personality. He always has the power, whether it's like literal magic power, depending on the genre, or like wealth or popularity or fame, whatever it is. He has power in his social status as well. And he's also high in the social hierarchy. The female character is always like the more victim type character, like that stereotype that you see in like movies and TV and books sometimes. She's usually more passive or submissive. Not always, but she tends to be that way, especially like in life in general, but also like specifically when it comes to this male protagonist bully. It's like everything he does just like washes over her or past her or whatever. And like when it comes to the bully, no matter what he's done to her for however long he's been doing whatever, like there's just always this special place in her heart for this bully character where, anyways, she's always at the bottom of the social hierarchy. She's never just like an average person. She's like at the bottom. Like she's an outcast or like a social pariah, or just like nobody likes her. And in some of the more extreme cases of in this the world, she also may be experiencing bullying or abuse from other people in her life and other areas of her life, especially in the stories that deal with like supernatural or paranormal aspects. She's usually the person who's like the weak or gifted one, and because of that, because of her lack of abilities, she's seen as less than or a burden to her family or her community. And suffers because of it. Their relationship to each other, the male and female protagonists, and I don't even like to call him a protagonist, but I won't. Anyways, in the relationship between the two characters, they always had some sort of like past. Like either they used to be best friends, or they were childhood friends, or their parents were best friends, or they were next door neighbors. And so like when they were younger, they always had they always had to interact with each other, either because they were friends or like outside forces kept pushing them together. Maybe in some of them, when they were both children, they both were bullied by someone else. And then also, whenever it's they were neighbors one, their bedrooms always like face each other, or like they can see each other from wherever their bedrooms are. Like always, always, always. So I have categorized the bullies into three types of bully based off of many, many times I've seen this, especially when I was in middle school and I was reading a lot of like YA things, novels, paranormal, supernatural things that were like published or on Wattpad. How do you say that? I have no idea how to pronounce that word. These are the three types of bully that I have seen the kind of one. In some of the like not as bad versions, the guy, he is friends with the bully, or the bullies, but he doesn't participate in the bullying, but he doesn't stop it from happening either. And so he's just like a bystander. Two, he joins in with the bullying for the sake of conformity because he wants to fit in, and there's also the threat of him possibly being bullied if he doesn't participate in it. And then there is the third kind, which I absolutely hate, where he is an abuser, and he actively, purposefully, consciously, verbally attacks and will physically assault the girl. He doesn't assault her sexually, which I guess the authors were like, we won't cross all these lines, but he has no problem like beating her up. Like he will hit her or kick her or do whatever. And like this type of bully, his motivation stems from the girl like retaining her strength not to give up or give in, her not conforming to the social norms of her status, her not being afraid of him, and like etc. There's many other reasons why. And the guy views this as a challenge to his authority, and status, which then makes him even more mad. And so he has the mindset of like, oh, I need to put her in her place. And then the cycle just continues. And then the types of story with bully number 3, those are the ones where the girl she's not as passive in those situations. And then for some reason they eventually fall in love. Like the girl and the bully fall in love. I don't understand why, because almost always the guy's apology to the girl is like the weakest weak sauce of apologies, if he even apologizes in the first place. It's the bare minimum, and like he's just like sorry, and then she just like forgets all the things he's done to her, and like everything is forgiven and it's fine. Which goes into the next point of the girl forgives the guy way too easily and way too quickly. I just read a book accidentally because if I had known what it was about, I wouldn't have read it. But this guy like publicly humiliated and bullied her and sexually harassed her in front of like a whole school, and then like the next day they kiss for some reason, and that confused me when it was happening. And then she's thinking like, oh my gosh, my heart is fluttering at the thought of him or whatever. And I was like, yesterday. He was being rude to you yesterday and for the past 3 years doing these things. And also, that book alternated the POV of her and him. So she's thinking, like, oh my gosh, I still have a crush on him. And then you see his point of view, and he's, like, pissed off that he's a type 3 bully. So he was pissed off that she wasn't, like, in her place. And he's like, oh, I need to break her so that she learns respect and, like, the rules of how she's supposed to be. Anyways, did not like that. Hearing more about that book, I have a book review posted on my blog, and the link for that is in the description. Also, the stories generally do a weak job of redeeming the bully. They often provide excuses for his behavior instead of him realizing that his behavior is toxic or bad, and he doesn't usually, like, learn from his mistakes. Because while he may treat the female protagonist differently because he's in love with her or whatever, he still has those same friends who were either bullying her before or helping him bully her, and he still treats people outside of whatever his circle of friends are the same way that he was treating them before. And there's, like, no real growth. So, a trope I absolutely love is the enemies to lovers trope. And this one is very different, in my opinion, to the bully to lovers trope for several reasons. One of the main differences is that though the characters may be enemies, that doesn't mean they're necessarily awful people. It could just be that they have opposing views, or they may be on opposite sides of a conflict, or they may have, like, clashing personalities and they just don't get along at first, but they don't seek out the opportunity to and enjoy mentally or physically abusing or attacking people. They don't, like, enjoy that, and they don't have the mindset of the bully number 3. And I really like the enemies to lovers trope, or the enemies to friends trope, or the enemies to friends to lovers trope, because when it's done really well, it can show how, like, different groups of people with different backgrounds, different beliefs, how they can work together and coexist, which is, like, something I think we really need in the world right now. But yeah, I think that one can be really fun because even though, like I said, that the characters may be enemies, they're not evil. They just may have some differences, but then, like, over the course of the story, and character development happening and learning more information and more knowledge, maybe they're not enemies at the end. Maybe they still are, but they have a greater understanding of the enemy that they're fighting, and I don't know. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So I wondered why, like, the bullies to lovers trope and, like, why bully romance is, like, popular, because, like, a couple of years ago it just, like, blew up, and, like, but it was just, like, all of these books had this, even if it wasn't, like, advertised in the title that it was a bully romance, like, you just might read it. I would read the synopsis or listen to reviews or read reviews about a book, and they would talk about the love triangles or the romance in the story, and it's like there was a lot. Anyways, I was wondering why some people might like bully romance. I found a blog called Deanna's World, and she did a survey asking people who like bully romance why they liked it. The blog is linked down below, and so you can read the full thing if you're interested. It's very, like, concise and to the point. It's not a long read at all, but it was interesting what she found out in her survey and from people's responses. But, like, to summarize the 2 points of why people may have liked to summarize why some people like bully romance and the bully to lover trope, there were 2 main reasons that she found in her results. The first one being drama. it was dramatic. People love drama. Yep. But on the other side of it, there were also people who had been bullied in real life, and they liked bully romance or bullies to lovers trope because it allowed them to deal with those things, but in a narrative where they won, or they confronted the bully, or they ended up on top, or something like that. And it was like a safe way to do that without actually having to go into the world and confront real people, which can be dangerous. So it was cathartic for some people, which I can understand that reason, because not all the bullies in all of the books were like awful people. Some of them were just misguided or confused. Not all of them were like the type 3 bully. And some of them actually did learn from their mistakes and grow and become better people. However, the reason I hate the bullies to lovers trope is that the bully learning from their mistakes and growing and becoming a better person, or like good lessons being learned, like, is not the norm that I've found from all of my reading. The bullies don't even necessarily have to become better people, but like the protagonist might learn a valuable lesson, and the reader also by proxy. But more often, the bullying, the harassment, the abuse, the toxic relationships are romanticized and aren't handled thoroughly or with care, and or even realistically in some instances, and those things can have negative effects on people, especially with this trope being so prevalent in young adult and new adult fiction, which is read by a lot of young people, like middle school aged, and even like fifth graders or whatever. And these books can send the wrong message and teach the wrong lessons. So this was my video on why I hate the bully to lover trope / bully romance. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out my blog where I post personal essays, movie and book reviews, articles, journal entries, a bunch of things. You can also follow me and or my cats on Instagram. All the links for any things I mentioned in the video and social media, everything is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, or have a great night, or whenever it is that you're watching this. Bye.